Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ringside Warriors. I am your host, Chris, and this episode once again is late. February has been a hectically crazy, busy month, and I'm hoping that as we go into March, things will get back to normal. I do want to get back to normal before the pay per view, which is literally right around the corner. Elimination Chamber is very, very close. So I definitely want to get the episodes up to date. So this way, when the pay per view comes out, I'm able to do the podcast directly after that. And we could talk about all the stuff that's gone on during Elimination Chamber. So this is going to be a shorter episode because we're already into the next week's worth of Raw and SmackDown. I do have an announcement that as of this episode, unfortunately, I made the hard choice to cut NXT out of my watch lineup. As much as I do find myself connecting with several stars such as Ilya Dragunov, Trick, and Baron Corbin, I knew from back when he was on the main roster, the main WWE roster, and then moved back to NXT. I find myself when I'm watching the show looking at how much longer the show is going to be on instead of actually enjoying the show. Whereas, like with Raw and SmackDown, I watch the shows, I'm enjoying the story, I'm enjoying the wrestlers, and it just feels like that's my enjoyment. So, for some of you, I know a lot of you do enjoy NXT, and that's great. I don't have anything bad to say about NXT. However, when it comes to wrestling, the two shows I enjoy the most are Raw and SmackDown. So, this podcast for right now is going to be strictly WWE. NXT is an awesome show. I am sure that I will be referencing stuff that's going on and has gone on in NXT. And maybe one day it'll come back to the show. But for right now, we're going to stick to just Raw and SmackDown. And of course, the pay-per-views that come from Raw and SmackDown. And we are heading towards Elimination Chamber. So let's talk about the stuff that went on this week really quickly. So on Raw this week, the show opened up with New Day and Jey Uso versus Imperium, and that was an excellent match. Jey Uso, of course, getting the win over Gunther, not over Gunther, but over Imperium. And as of this episode, next week, as far as this episode is concerned, Jey Uso is going to be going after Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. We'll talk about that next episode. This was an excellent opening match. I did like that instead of opening up with a segment this week, we actually opened up with a match. It didn't start with talking. It went right into the action, and the action continued with Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed for a place in the Elimination Chamber. And I found myself saying this a lot this week, but it was very telltale who was going to win a lot of the Elimination Chamber matches based off of just, we know this wrestler, we don't know that wrestler too much. Bronson Reed, I had a feeling wasn't going to win. I had a feeling Bobby Lashley was going to get into the Elimination Chamber, and lo and behold, that is exactly what happened. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match and now is a part of the Elimination Chamber to see who's going to be going up against Seth Rollins. We then had our first segment, which was Cody Rhodes coming out and talking about The Rock, and he even played a snippet of the segment that I talked about last week, where The Rock was calling anyone who wanted to hear Cody's story, their crybabies, doing the hashtag We Want Cody. And I love how they played that actually into the story, played that into the actual goings on with Cody and with him challenging Roman Reigns. We had Seth Rollins who came out and Cody, of course, thanked Seth for, backing him up on Thursday night's kickoff show. And Seth said, I love how Seth kind of blamed himself for the way Roman Reigns turned out because of him turning on Roman Reigns. And he does tell Cody that he has his back, especially because he's sick of people like The Rock coming in and thinking they could throw their weight around and control the way things go in the wrestling industry or in WWE, when he's the one putting in all the work and they just show up, and because they're a big name, they have the right to do anything. So Seth Rollins definitely says that he has Cody's back. Cody appreciates that. And we move on. So the women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match, we had Liv Morgan versus Zoe Stark. Once again, known name for me, unknown name for me. And of course, Liv Morgan won the match. And then directly after that, we had a segment where Becky came out and was talking about how after she wins the Elimination Chamber, she's going to be going after Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship. Nia Jax comes out and of course, has to play on Becky and making fun of all the things Becky said, because Becky talked about being a mom and all the things she sacrificed to get where she is today, that she has to win the belt. And Nia comes out and says, you might not be facing Rhea because I'm going to be facing her at Elimination Chamber for her belt. And of course, Rhea comes out. She's still pissed off at Nia. A little bit of a fight breaks out. And of course, Becky's the one that breaks it up, throws Nia out, and then there's a little bit of a face-off, and then Rhea also keeps Nia Jax out of the ring. So depending on where Elimination Chamber goes is where we'll see. You know, honestly, and I'm saying this, and this would be a really nice build-up if it was going to be a fatal three-way. If, let's say, Nia Jax beat Rhea at Elimination Chamber, and Rhea wanted to push her rematch clause for WrestleMania, and let's say Becky wins the Elimination Chamber, and Becky allows for that to happen and says, "Okay, fine, we'll do a triple threat." That would be an interesting three-way match, and I like how it looks like that's what's setting up, but at the same time, might not be. But I think that would be an interesting match if we got that for WrestleMania, Becky versus Nia versus Rhea. I would definitely support that. Then we had another Elimination Chamber qualifying match. We had LA Knight versus Ivar. Gee, I wonder who's going to win that match. And if you said Ivar, I'm sorry to break your heart here, but no, it was LA Knight. Yeah, it was LA Knight. I really do enjoy watching LA Knight wrestle. I got to be honest with you. He's one of my hopefuls to win the Elimination Chamber, honestly. I mean, we've got Randy Orton. We've got LA Knight in there. It's hard to choose between the two. It just sucks that AJ Styles didn't make it in there, and it was kind of LA Knight's fault. Yes, no, maybe so, in between. But I do like that we have both of them in there. So there's two chances so far out of everything that's going, out of all the wrestlers that are in the match. Those are two of the ones I wanted up until this point. There's more coming, of course. And then we had the big main event, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke getting into Sami Zayn's head now because of what happened with Sami and Cody. And, of course, Drew McIntyre. The match was great. The match was going amazing. And then, of course, Drew McIntyre has to come out and ends up, distracting Sami Zayn long enough for Shinsuke to pull up a win. And then he comes in and attacks Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn attacked him for attacking Cody. And then, of course, Cody comes out and attacks Drew because Drew's beating up on Sami. And the night kind of ends on that note. The best match of the night, in my opinion, was LA Knight Ivar, followed by New Day and Jey Uso versus Imperium. Otherwise, a lot of predictability. Even the LA Knight match was kind of predictable. The only one that was kind of like either one could win was Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That was the only one that I was like, this can go either way, and it went Nakamura's way, unfortunately. So now we fast forward to Friday Night SmackDown. First match of the night is another qualifying match for the men's Elimination Chamber match. We had Kevin Owens versus Dominic Mysterio. And as much as Dominic and Kevin Owens are both known names, I mean, there's only one person out of the two of them that is ready to main event and to possibly go on to, face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship belt. And that's Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens takes out Dominic Mysterio easy. No problem. And that was really good. And then we had a Drew McIntyre LA Knight segment, which is it was a really nice build-up because LA Knight is ragging on Drew McIntyre being the way he is. And that sets up for a match next week on Friday Night SmackDown between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, which is really cool because Both of them are in the Elimination Chamber match. So why not? Let's get to some feuding going on before we get into the main event, the 6-way Elimination Chamber. There's also another match that's going to be going on next Friday. It's going to be Dominic and JD from the Judgment Day versus, oh my God, I had their names, Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne, who are qualified to face the tag team champions at Elimination Chamber. So they're going to be going for their chance at winning gold, but they're going to face the other two from the Judgment Day first next week. So it's going to be funny to see Dominic Mysterio and JD versus, well, obviously it's going to maybe be a setup for, getting a little bit of the momentum out of Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne. We'll see. Next, we had another female women's Elimination Chamber match. We had Selena Vega versus Tiffany Stratton. I can't stand Tiffany Stratton, but unfortunately, Tiffany Stratton ended up picking up the win and qualifying once again qualifying her second win once again, but qualifying to be in the women's Elimination Chamber match. We then had it really truly felt like a throwaway match. We had Javier Bernal and Bu Morris, both of them from NXT, versus AOP. AOP this was the shortest match of the night, and AOP made easy work of both Bernal and Morris. It was a slaughter. But final testament, definitely becoming a dominant force on Friday Night SmackDown. Another men's Elimination Chamber match. We had The Miz versus Logan Paul. And of course, Logan Paul picks up the win because his friends were ringside. The brass knuckles played in. It didn't have to be the brass knuckles, but Logan Paul was able to trick Miz long enough to pick up the victory. And Logan Paul is now, I believe, he is the last person in the men's Elimination Chamber match. So I don't see Logan Paul winning. I'm between Kevin Owens, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. Those are my picks. If somehow Drew McIntyre picks up a win, that will surprise me. I believe that Bobby Lashley and Logan Paul were literally just thrown in. I don't understand why Logan Paul's thrown in. I think he's going to be the first one eliminated. Bobby, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But Bobby Lashley definitely doesn't have the momentum yet, I feel, to go for a Seth Rollins championship. And then I believe this was the final women's qualifying match. We had Naomi versus Alba Fire. And just like the rest of the matches this week, Naomi's the known name, the returning women's wrestler from the Royal Rumble. Of course, she won and is qualified in the women's Elimination Chamber. It was telltale. The match was great. I love watching Naomi wrestle. Really good stuff. But it was telltale. I knew for a fact Alba Fire was not going to be in the women's Elimination Chamber match. You could tell. But we then had a contract signing. It turns out Braun Breaker is officially signed to SmackDown. So that's why I'm pretty sure him and Baron Corbin did not win the tag belts this week on NXT. I did not get to see that match, so my guess is they didn't. But congrats to Braun Breaker. He is making what's the word I'm looking for? Entrance into the WWE, that is for sure. It's going to be great. His first match is premiering in the next episode of SmackDown. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. He is certainly making a first impression getting into WWE, and I'm looking forward to seeing where Braun Breaker goes. He's the son of Rick Steiner. So, I mean, of course, I'm a huge fan of Rick Steiner. So we'll see where that goes with Braun Breaker's first match next week. And then the rest of the show was a Bloodline segment. It was The Rock's big heel turn where he turned on the fans. He turned on the people at the stadium, the people at home, and he's calling everybody idiots and stupid and hicks, and talked about making fun of the Cody crybabies and how Cody has to finish his story, and saying how dumb it is and how he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that Cody walks out of WrestleMania a loser or the loser. And he's wearing his vest. A lot of people on the internet were showing it as on a side by side with when he was in the Nation of Domination, kind of, because when he was in the Nation of Domination, they had their fists in the air. With the Bloodline, it's the we're the one finger in the air. So a lot of people are playing the compare and contrast between the two groups, and it will be interesting to see where this goes again. I think a lot of this was spur of the moment. Oh crap, the fans are not liking The Rock versus Roman. We got to double back and get this guy in the main event and figure out what we're going to do with The Rock now, because The Rock made his appearance. So here we go. Rock heel turn, everybody. How long will the heel turn last? Your guess is as good as mine. Will Cody win the WrestleMania, his match, and complete his story? I don't know. I hope so. I hope that The Rock being involved somehow in all this doesn't change what the outcome was meant to be. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. That's what this is, a lot of just waiting and finding out. We'll see what happens next week, but I'm going to make this episode a bit shorter. Usually we go about 30 minutes. This is a 60-minute episode because, well, number one, we're not doing NXT anymore, but also all of these episodes have gone on. We've already had the next episode of Raw come out. So I'm hoping that the next episode we will be back on time. But till then, everybody, take care. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here again next week for another episode of Ringside Warriors. As always, links in the description below for all social media. Till then, take care, everybody, and I'll see y'all in the next one.